Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Family Bowl here in Knoxville, Tennessee, the site to the 1995 Intercollegiate Bowling Championships. Men's and women's finals coming up next. On the women's side, it's going to be Wichita State going for a repeat and a sixth championship. They're going to take on Nebraska. And for the men, it's Nebraska, or rather, it's Wichita State versus West Texas A&M. I'm Mark Nagy, joined on the broadcast by Kerm Helmer. Right now, the big question is, how is Wichita State going to fare in this if they hope to repeat as champions on the women's side?
Well, in the semifinals, they bowled very, very well. They're very consistent. They only had one open frame in the first two games, but they're up against a pretty strong outfit. Nebraska literally ran away with the qualifying. I mean, they finished second overall, and that includes the men's field. So this should be, or could be, a real classic final.
Yeah, Nebraska, Bill Straub's team, second highest pin total both on the men and women's side. So Kerm, once again, Nebraska with a good chance here. They were the runners-up last year.
I think it's going to be, again, a real strong final, and what we saw in the semifinals is that if a team leaves an opening, these teams are capable of shutting the door real quick.
Now on the men's side, Wichita State hoping for a three-peat. It's not easy in any sport, but in this sport right now they are bowling exceptionally well, and they've really got a good shot at it right now.
Oh, absolutely. They led the qualifying. They get to sit out the semifinals. West Texas beating Nebraska in the semifinals. West Texas bowled. I was really impressed with West Texas in the semifinals. Their total could have been much higher if they would have carried a little better. Again, I think on the men's side you could see a real high-scoring final and a real good final.
West Texas A&M number 6 in the USA in the last national poll. Kind of sneaked up on a few people, but they're in the finals and they're looking for a title also. There would be their first in their school's history.
Oddly enough, out of the semifinals for the men's and women and the finals, West Texas men are the only one that does not have a national championship, so they'll be going for their first. And Wichita, of course, this is old hat for them.
It's going to be fun to watch. Mark Nagy along with Kerm Helmer, the 1995 Intercollegiate Bowling Championships, coming to you from Family Bowl here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and you're watching it on TNI Sports. Nebraska, the Lady Cornhuskers, they are coached by Bill Straub, Kim Straub, and Tony Manna. The bowlers in the 1 and 6 spot, Brenda Edwards. 2nd and 7th, Andrea Rigby. 3rd and 8th, Jennifer Larson. 4th and 9th, Callie Winters, and the anchor, Brenda Norman. For the Wichita State Lady Shockers, they are coached by Chris Barnes, the All-American. In the 1st and 6th spot, Chrissy Beamish. Number 2 and 7, Melissa Lang. 3 and 8, Lisa Burrow. 4 and 9, Rosine Marschke, and the anchor is Allison Almang. In the women's semifinals, Wichita State advanced to their second straight IBC final appearance with a convincing 415-365 victory over Erie Community College. Setting up a rematch between schools deep in the heartland, the Lady Shockers facing Nebraska. Brenda Edwards with a solid strike for Nebraska, so both these teams starting out with a strike. Chrissy Beamish for the Lady Shockers from Wichita State. Melissa Lang got it. Melissa Lang, a senior, hoping to end her career with a three-peat, or rather a repeat in another national championship. So 2 consecutive strikes for the Lady Shockers. Here's Andrea Rigby. She picks up 6, but this is not going to be an easy spare to pick up. Lisa Burrow got a little bit of help as one pin kicked out, and she's left 2. Andrea Rigby to pick up the spare. Nearly picked up the 7. Lisa Burrow nails the spare. And right now it's all Wichita State. That open frame early has hurt Nebraska. Third frame for them. Jen Carson gets some help. The 7-pin knocks down and they get a strike out of it. No help for the 6. She leaves 2. Rosine for the spare, gets it. Rosine Marski gets it. Solid strike from the anchor, Brenda Norman. Or I'm sorry about that, that'd be Allison Almang. So Wichita State working on 87 in the 4th frame. Here's Brenda Norman. Leaves the 10. Chrissy Beamish. That's an open for Nebraska, their second open so far in this match, and they're at a 76 right now in the 5th frame. Wichita State 87 in the 4th. Lady Shockers really bowling well at this moment. The 6-10. Got it. Andrea Rigby. Solid strike for Andrea. That tries to get Nebraska back in this match. So far, it's all Wichita State, though. Lisa Burrow trying to double up. She does. Burrow with a big strike. Southpaw leaves the 6-10 again. Second time we've seen that happen for Wichita State on this lane 16. Jen Carson for the spare. Got it. Rosine Marshke picks up the 2 on the opposite side. Callie Winters. Solid 10 stays off. Brendan Norman. Got a little bit of help, the 7-pin falls. Allison Omang picks up the spare. Omang got one more shot here in the 10th. Brendan Norman. This time the 10-pin stays up. Knocks it home. And Norman picks up the spare. So Nebraska-Lincoln will trail in this match by 21 pins, 214-193. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with the second game of this 2-game match right after this. We're back in the next frame. And Nebraska, Brenda Edwards starts off with a bang. Chrissy Beamish picks up 8. This is how Coach Bill Straub wants Nebraska to start this second game of this match. There's the open door that Nebraska was looking for, which looking for a turkey. They get it. Jen Carson with a big-time shot, and Nebraska, this is a rematch of the finals from last year, and they're looking to go home with first place instead of the runner-up trophy from last year. Wichita State answers right back. Big strike from Melissa Lang. Wichita State will keep going. Lisa Burrow.
Fourth frame for Nebraska. They have the first three.
Nebraska 4 strikes in a row. Callie Winters, Lady Cornhuskers on fire here in the second game. Wichita State looking for 3 in a row. 10-pin stays up. Josie Marshke couldn't get it to go.
Now, Wichita is starting with a 21-pin lead, and that's all but evaporated here, and we're right down to almost dead even. And this spare, again, as we've talked about before, with the spare is absolutely critical. You can't leave the open frame, especially with Nebraska having the first 4 strikes.
Something we've talked about, Kerm, is the fact that bowling really has grown here in huge numbers, collegiate bowling and all across the country. It's something we talked about in the break as Wichita State picks up the spare. It's really good to see a huge crowd like this on an event of this magnitude.
They've got a great turnout here. This is really tremendous for collegiate bowling and for bowling in general.
Brendan Norman looking to make it 5 in a row for the Cornhuskers. That time the 8-pin stays up, but it was a good run for Nebraska, and it got him right back in this match.
That was a great shot. Again, you can't fault her for not putting the ball where it's supposed to. If she gets the spare, they're going to beat 109 in the 4th. Wichita with a strike in the 5th would give them 78 in the 4th. So we're right back to even.
Wichita State won the first game of this match 214 to 193, so that Nebraska does have a 21-pin deficit that they're working at right now. See if Norman can pick up the spare. Got it.
Good shot. Went right straight at it.
The 4-7 stay out for Wichita State. Right now they're in the 5th frame, and Nebraska right now has seems like they have the lead.
They've come back from that on the strength of that 4-bagger, and to start the game, they've come back. They turned a 21-pin deficit into an 8-pin plus.
And an open frame for Allison Halmang, and that is not what the Lady Shockers and Coach Chris Barnes wanted.
Well, they've made 2 mistakes in this game that they did not make in 2 games of the semifinals or in the first game of the finals, and now they've made 2 really costly errors on not difficult spares.
This time the 10-pin stays up, and you can see on the look on Chrissy Beamich's face. Thought she had that one solid. The 10-pin wouldn't go down.
You know, and sometimes that happens. You know, someone will miss an easy spare, and then you put the ball right there, and you don't carry, and you really need to strike.
Nebraska's marked each of these frames in the second game. And this is not going to be an easy spare to pick up.
Yeah, Brenda was light on that. Again, not an easy spare.
Right now it's a 20-pin lead as of frame number 5 for Nebraska. And another open frame for Wichita State, and that really hurts.
As we were talking earlier, as Wichita closed out qualifying today, one of the concerns that some of the parents I talked to was that their spare shooting, really they had a difficult time today in the qualifying with spare shooting, and generally they're an excellent spare shooting team. And some of the parents have said that they were really concerned about it, but boy, they didn't show it in the semifinals, and they didn't show it in the first game of the finals. But now, what the problem they had earlier today is showing up.
And Nebraska's picking up their spares. Wichita State needed that one. That's a solid strike.
Oh, they're very, very capable. This thing isn't over with yet, because if you get a mistake by Nebraska.
Andrew Rigby. Solid. Nebraska really has come out on fire. 5 out of 7 frames of the strike. The other 2 were spares. Eighth shot for Wichita State. Lisa Burrow leaves the 10.
We've seen a few of those today.
The 10 pin on both 15 and 16. They just have that 10 pin just doesn't seem to want to go down.
It seems like it's anchored there, both for the men and the women. Nebraska just tore everybody up in qualifying, and this game, they're showing what they really did for 3 days. They just basically lapped the field. And this is how they did it right here, what we're seeing happen in the second game of the finals.
Wichita State picks up the spare, Lisa Burrow, but Nebraska right now can really shut the door. Got a good chance to take this match, take this championship away from Knoxville.
Well, the best that Wichita can shoot in this game right now is 194.
Now that opens the door right there.
Wichita goes out there in the 9th frame. They can shoot 194. So Nebraska would have to shoot 216.
Southpaw 7 pin will not go down. Rosine Marsky, a good looking shot.
Wichita is 133 in the 8th. Looking at a single pin spare. Nebraska has 174 in the 8th. Yet to throw the first ball in the 9th.
Here's Callie Winters.
Major break.
Got a little bit of help as the 10 pin finally goes down. That would have been a near impossible spare to pick up.
That was a major break.
All right.
Wichita can go out with 183. They strike out in the 10th, they're going to go 183. Nebraska needs 205, so a spare basically right here. If she converts this spare, basically you've got a new national champion.
Callie Winters. The doors open again. Wichita State. Seems like this team's got 9 lives.
No. And again, it's mistakes. Nebraska misses 2 single pin spares. Either one would have given them the national championship.
Big shots coming up here for Allison Almang.
Should Allison strike out, she's going to force Nebraska to double in the 10th.
Allison Almang got experience. She's a senior. 213 average, second highest here in the tournament. Lady Shockers need a strike here. Wichita State's still in it, but it makes their job a lot more difficult.
And the best they can go out to now is 170. Which means she needs 8 pins. That's it. It's over. You got a new national champion.
Brendan Norman knocked that one stiff.
Boy, I'll tell you, it looked like Nebraska was in total control when we got to the 7th frame. It didn't look like anything was going to stop them. And then they made 2 critical mistakes. And what cost Wichita was their spare shooting, which was so good in the first 3 games, and it came back to kill them in the final game.
You can see the look of elation on the faces of Nebraska. You see some of the men's team there too. They lost in the semifinals to West Texas A&M. They're still here cheering on their teammates. On the women's side, the University of Nebraska coming into the national championship in 1994. They lost to Wichita State. This year they get their revenge. Brenda Norman looking for more. She got it. Boy, Nebraska came out on fire in this second game.
They had bowled exceptionally well all week long, and again, they looked like they had this match totally controlled. We got to the 7th frame of the last game, and then 2 opens in the 8th and 9th, 2 single pins. But the anchor bowler came back and did just exactly what she had to do.
Brenda Norman. Actually, that was their substitute they put in there for the final shot, and The University of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers are your 1995 Women's Intercollegiate Bowling Champions. Last year they traveled to the championship match where they lost to Wichita State. They denied the Lady Shockers a repeat this year, as the Cornhuskers will travel back to Nebraska from Knoxville, Tennessee with a national championship. And we saw there for a moment in the red coat, Bill Straub, another national championship. You see him there at the top right of your screen, and this has got to be a great moment for him.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you know, it's like on the PBA Tour, you go to the stepladder final and you may lead the qualifying by a whole bunch of pins, but you still got to win that one last match. And I think that probably the girls were thinking about that. You know, we proved we're the best team here once. Now we got to come back in and do it again. And Wichita really, first game, took a 21-pin lead. And I really didn't think that Nebraska would come back, because I didn't think Wichita would let them. Not that Nebraska wouldn't bowl well, but Wichita, I felt, would be real consistent.
What was the difference today for Nebraska? It seemed in that second frame, once they moved over to lane 16, they started off with those 4 straight strikes, and it got everybody into it.
Well, once they got the triple to start with, and Wichita opened early, they knew they had a chance. And I think they got loose. They might have been a little tight. Plus, we also have to remember, too, that Wichita already had bowled 2 games on 15 and 16 when they bowled in the semifinals. Nebraska, even though they got the practice on it, hadn't bowled competitively on it. But boy, once they got it in gear that last game, they showed why they had led the tournament all week.
The Nebraska Lady Cornhuskers, your 1995 Intercollegiate Bowling Champions. Last year they lost in the final round. This year they go home with the brass ring. Coming up next, the men's finals between Wichita State and West Texas.